Hello everybody, welcome back to more political chatter. This 2024 election prediction is between Joe Biden and Larry Hogan. Joe Biden is the president of the United States. Again, this is 2024, so he would be running for re-election. He is the most likely Democratic nominee for 2024. He's not very popular at all. Inflation is definitely a big issue in many people's minds. The war in Ukraine is also, it's hard to tell if those things will continue throughout until 2024, likely not, but still. Anyway, Larry Hogan is very interesting. So he's the governor of Maryland. He will be term limited by 2022. And what's interesting about Larry Hogan is that he's an anti-Trump Republican. He's pretty neoliberal, really. Very liberal for the Republican Party, while most of them are conservative, right? Well, he's very anti-Trump. He says Trump's not the common sense choice. And, he has not backed Trump on, almost all occasions. Larry Hogan is an anti-Trump Republican. So let's see how an anti-Trump Republican does against the incumbent president. So let's go to safe Biden states. California and Washington, I believe, will stay safe. I think New York will get to Connecticut. Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Vermont will be safe for him. Let's see. Going to Maine, I do think that we'll get to it. Anyway. Oh, yeah, and then Hawaii and Illinois. But I think that Larry Hogan will do very well in the Northeast. I really do. I think even Biden's home state of Delaware will be likely. See, we have different shades of colors here. I think the state, make Delaware safe. I mean, it is his home state. New Jersey is going to be likely. Connecticut is going to be likely. And Maine's 1st district will be likely. What we have to remember here is that Larry Hogan has an appeal here, and sure, Biden does also. But I believe Hogan, as a governor in the Northeast, will do better than Trump here, right? So, even without that Trumpian vote. But going over to a state like Oregon without much of a, Northeast base over here. I mean, this the West. I don't think that he will do very well here, and I think that this would go solid Dem. Now, going to safe Hogan states, I mean, there's not. I mean, what we have to remember is that so many Republicans are going to turn out against him. But still, who are they going to choose? Whoever conservative Republicans in the Midwest going to choose, Hogan or Biden? They're going to choose Hogan just because he is the Republican. We have to remember that. But I believe states like Kansas are going to be likely. Nebraska's 2nd district is going to be likely. Missouri is going to be likely. Montana is going to be likely. I think that many of these states that traditionally go solid Republican will be going likely Republican because of this anti-Trump vote. Because of this pro-Trump vote that Hogan will not likely win. Going to Nebraska's at-large vote, this will probably... let's go to Nebraska's first. This would go solid Hogan. And then Nebraska at-large would probably go likely. Anyway, and then we'll get to Nebraska's 3rd. Alright, moving on. Down south, I think that this would be Hogan territory just because of how democratic it really is. And then, there's states such as Alaska and South Carolina and Indiana that are going to go likely, but close to becoming safe. Remember, Trump won in Indiana by a solid margin in 2016 and 2020, but he had Mike Pence on the ticket, who's the former governor of the state, so I do think that it would now become likely. Moving on. Alright, now, going to Iowa and Ohio, I think that these definitely would be close because Trump had some strange appeal here. He turned out white working class voters in the Rust Belt, and Hogan will not do that. I don't see a neoliberal like Hogan doing that at all. But what we have to remember is that there will be a lot of people who will choose Hogan over Biden. And I'm not just saying Republicans. I'm saying Democrats, Independents, and Republicans alike. A lot of people are going to choose Hogan over Biden because they're unhappy. They do not approve of Joe Biden as president. So I will give Larry Hogan the states of Iowa and Ohio, but I do think that these would be much closer than in 2016. That also goes for Maine's 2nd congressional district. I do think that Hogan would narrowly carry this by a lean margin. Trump again had an appeal here, and Hogan will not have that same thing. But anyway, moving on to the Rust Belt. I should have just stayed on track there. Hogan will not turn out these white working class voters that voted for Trump in 2016 unexpectedly out of nowhere, that carried him the states of Iowa, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. He will not have that. Minnesota will be likely, and I would say that state of Michigan will be lean for Joe Biden. I think that Wisconsin is going to be lean for Joe Biden. But going to the state of Pennsylvania, I think that this would be a very close state because Larry Hogan has an appeal in the state of Pennsylvania. I'm going to put it in the Till Biden column because what we have to remember is that in every state there will be avid Trump supporters who will refuse to vote for Hogan because Hogan has denounced Trump. So I do think that the blue wall will go to the Democratic Party once again. Going to Larry Hogan's home state of Maryland, I do think that there would be enough independents to make the state likely. It will definitely not go to Larry Hogan because they vote Democratic on the presidential level more than the gubernatorial level or senatorial level. So I do think that it would go likely Biden, but a lot of people in the state of Maryland who Larry Hogan is extremely popular there. They will approve of him as governor and vote for him as president. But going on to New Hampshire, in every state, like I said, there will be that anti-Trump sentiment. What I mean is that there will be people who won't turn out for Hogan because he is anti-Trump. But he does have a northeastern appeal, so I do think that New Hampshire would be lean. Maine's at-large vote, I do think would go to Joe Biden by a likely margin. Hogan, he only carries Maine second by a lean margin. So I do think that he would be able to carry it by a likely margin. Anyway, moving on to the state of Virginia. I see Hogan doing very well here because he is an acceptable Republican. But I definitely see them voting more Democratic on the presidential level rather than the governor level because they had voted for a Republican for Governor Glenn Youngkin. I definitely see that. But Hogan, I believe, will do very well in the state of Virginia. A lot of people will accept him, but what we have to remember is that in every single state, avid Trump supporters will hate Hogan. Now let's go down south. This is where Texas, Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina, the big four. These are where the most radical Trump supporters are. Some of the most, especially in states like Florida, North Carolina, and Texas, and Georgia, I guess all four. But the Republicans down here are so conservative and so pro-Trump, DC is safe, by the way, that it's going to be hard for Hogan to do well here because so many of them will refuse to vote for Hogan. I think that Texas will be lean for Larry Hogan. I think that North Carolina will be tilt for Larry Hogan. But I do think that the states of Georgia will go lean for Joe Biden. I do think that state of Florida will go tilt for Biden. Sure, it's shifting right and all that, but so many Trump supporters down here are going to hate Hogan. And there's going to be a third-party candidate if Hogan is nominated. There's going to be a strong conservative, Trump-backed, it might be Trump, third-party candidate, So it's very, very interesting. But I do think that Florida would narrowly go to Joe Biden by a tilt margin. Going to North Carolina and Colorado, I don't see much of a competition here. Larry Hogan will be acceptable in these two states, pretty moderate states, if not progressive. So I do think that you would win in both those states. But going to Arizona and Nevada, I think that this would be pretty tough for Larry Hogan to win just because there are a lot of Trump supporters down in the Sun Belt, ones that do believe that the election was stolen. If you remember from the 2020 election, there were a lot of protesters, pro-Trump protesters in Arizona, saying that he won the state of Arizona. So I'm going to give Arizona to Hogan by doing that. Biden would be able to pull out a win in state of Nevada by a lean margin. So this is the final map. I'm missing Nebraska's 2nd congressional district, which just because it is shifting right, will give to Larry Hogan by a tilt margin. So this is our final electoral map. Joe Biden wins with 321 electoral votes to Larry Hogan's 217. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. I hope to see you all very, very soon.